Hello, everyone, and welcome also from my side to this ALM Summit 2021, unfortunately still in this kind of home office version. I hope you had a nice long break and you had a special meal inside of that. For that of you who don't know myself right now, my name is Christina Pickert and I'm working at SAP as a product manager on testing in Focused Build for SAP Solution Manager. Today in this session, my colleague Xavier and I would like to take the opportunity to share with you some best practices to ensure the availability of test automation early in the project. And Xavier will show you later on which new effective ways to run automatic test cases are right around the corner. So stay tuned for that. But before we can go to the content of that slide deck, I just need to show you also this legal disclaimer. I am pretty sure that you have seen this several times before in all the previous sessions. I just need to remind you that all information that we present in the slides are proprietary to SAP and all forward-looking statements are subject to change by SAP without previous notice. And I think also this is very familiar to you regarding questions, if you may have something during the presentation. So for any burning questions, just use the Q&A functionality in Zoom. Nevertheless, we will also spend some minutes at the end of this slot to answer your questions. If we probably have not enough time at the end, we will also have this Meet the Expert slot, which is right after this meeting. In the same track with all experts which have presented slides today and also some additional ones regarding Solution Manager and Focused Build. This slot is planned from 3 to 3:45 Central European Summer Time. Just to remind you that this possibility exists. So if everything organizational is cleared right now, then we can come to the agenda points that we have today for you, which is about test management and test automation in general with SAP Solution Manager. I want to give you a great picture about this, and then we will come to the points how to prepare test automation with the help of Focused Build inside of Solution Manager, and Xavier will show you how to use test automation with Solution Manager and Focused Build. So let's come to this overall picture about Business Transformation Suite. I'm pretty sure that you have seen the slide before, and I'm also pretty sure that Mark has explained it very well to you and you got it already. Nevertheless, I will give you just a really, really short recap of this. So what this picture explains more or less is how the ALM solutions from SAP, which are obviously SAP Cloud ALM and SAP Solution Manager, bring together Signavio for business process modeling, which you can see here on the left-hand side, and the Tricentis for test automation here on the right-hand side into a full end-to-end suite, which will support your business transformation. Moreover, at the bottom of the screen, you can see that we have some capabilities in terms of analytics and SAP Support Data Lake, which provide you also with some more value in achieving this transformation. Also, this process was very good explained by Mark in his session on Tuesday and also today. But nevertheless, let's go through again through the process. At the top, you will find the overall analytics. This provides to you some visibility and transparency on your progress, but also more traceability, for example, on your requirements. Then we have a main pillar, which is the business process documentation. As Mark said, everything starts with business process documentation, and this inside of our SAP ALM solutions will allow you a unique view from the business and the IT on the business processes of your organization. Let's start now with the design phase. So what you can see here on the left-hand side is that the SAP Solution Manager integrates with the business process capabilities of Signavio. Here we have the full features and functions in modeling of business processes, the as-is processes and the to-be processes for our transformation. So we need to define what do we have right now and what is the goal where we want to be in the future after our transformation. Then we have the build capabilities of SAP Solution Manager, which allows you to map what have been designed by the business persons into so-called IT requirements. And of course, during the build phase, these requirements needs to be fulfilled or are fulfilled with the help of developments and configurations. If this is available then on the quality assurance system, the time for testing has come. So in here, we support, of course, both, so manual and automatic testing in SAP Solution Manager. And with the help of the partnership that we have with Tricentis, we open up to testing of also non-SAP software, which is a really great thing, because of this allows you to do end-to-end testing for all your business processes. That means SAP processes and also non-SAP processes, as well as the related systems. Important here, and this is something that you need to be aware of, is the legend. So you can see everything which is marked in green is subject to license agreement, and everything which is in blue is part of your enterprise support contract with SAP. Okay, next is once the test preparation and test execution is done, and the solution at the end is validated, of course, you can go into the deployment management. And here again, we provide full traceability reports that you can really deploy with confidence what have been successfully tested by your organization. And what I would like to mention also here is about this learning management, because of what you can do here is to use the assets that you have already inside of the Solution Manager with the help of business process documentation, can be used with Enable Now to be transformed to learning material for your teams and your organization. By saying that, let's more go into the topic of test automation with Solution Manager and Focused Build. So I'm in the topic of test management and test automation now for 10 years, and I have seen some customers which have started with test automation, and some of them also failed with test automation. And the reason for this was mainly that they are not going step by step to start with test automation. They wanted to just start, have like a quick start into test automation without any really strategy behind. And the most important thing for a successful usage of test automation is really to go step by step. And one important information is what I have written here, that is that test automation is not a surefire success. Because of you have to see really step by step what you have to do before you are starting with it, because of there are things where you need to be aware of. So let's start with that staircase that we want to go. And for the first step is that we have a trigger event. The trigger event could be that your manager comes to you and said, just let's start with test automation. It brings a lot of value and we will save a lot of time for our manual tests. This is not a good trigger, to be honest. A good trigger would be if someone is coming to you and said to you, let us support our manual testing, not let us replace our manual testing. That's not the purpose of test automation. What you can achieve with test automation is that you gain or that you get a higher test coverage. The goal of test automation will never be to replace fully your manual testing, just that you know this. Okay, if this trigger is clear, you need to go to, or you need to check the feasibility. So you really need to ensure that you have the manpower to start with test automation. That means you need to check your project. is your project feasible to be used for test automation? Can I create test automation or test scripts within my project? Does it make sense? Is it big enough? Can I reuse the test cases? Something like this. Then you need to take care about the responsibilities. There should be at least someone who's taking care about the whole test automation. You need, of course, support from the business users by creating the scripts, because of typically you don't know the process in that detail to do test automation. You need someone who is taking care of the scripts, which means what happens if a test script failed due to there were some changes inside of the process. Someone needs to take care of this. You need to know also that you have an initial investment. Initial investment means you need to invest something before you can gain out of it. It's like the same like on the stock market. Yeah, you are buying some stocks, and after a while, hopefully you gain something from it. And also from the next point, it's pretty much the same like on the stock market. It's about resilience. You will definitely have setbacks. You will definitely have sufferings during using test automation, like it is on the stock market. You will get sometimes bad numbers, but nevertheless, you have to decide whenever you say, no, I'm stepping out, it's now too much, or you say, I withstand this. And what is also really important is during that phase that you need to know that with automation, you could mainly find issues that you already know about. Okay. Next point will be the strategy. So if you have checked up that test automation is feasible for your company, for your project, then you have to think about a strategy. Strategy means more like which tool fits to our needs. This is a really important decision. Which tool is used, how we want to train our users, which have to use test automation, which processes are able to be automated, for which processes it makes sense that they are automated. And then you need to have a kind of acceptance criteria and also a kind of measurable, which means you need to know at the end if test automation was successful for you or not. And only if we have these 3 steps done, we can start with the preparation, which is one of the main parts for this presentation, as well as the last step, which is about the usage, which is presented later on by Xavier. But let's take a deeper look to the preparation. So if you have decided already about a tool, about responsible persons, that you decided about the processes that you want to automate, you need to ensure that test automation is available at a very early stage inside your life cycle process. And for this, we recommend typically that it is done in the same sprint or in a time-shifted sprint. That means whenever, for example, your wave have 4 sprints and you do your development for that specific function inside of sprint 2, then you should also provide the automatic test case in sprint 2 or latest in sprint 3. This could be ensured by focused build within 2 different options that we have find out here. One is inside of the work item with the help of a KPI, or the second option are within the checklist. But let's go into that point a little bit more in detail, that you see what you have to do to ensure that test automation will be available very early inside of your project. Option 1, as mentioned, is regarding the test automation as separate work item with the KPI involvement. That means, first of all, you are going to the SPRO transaction inside of the customizing. And what you have to do there is define or adapt the KPI for automatic tests. So you decide, for example, for a general, for a non-functional work item inside of status to be tested, I would like to have a test configuration available. So this is what you define inside of the KPI, or an administrator does it, whatever. Typically, then you are creating a work item, a non-functional work item for your work package. Yeah, so as you know, a work package consists out of several work items. For example, you have one work item for the development, which is then a normal change. Another one is which is about documentation, so that you can upload the documentation with the help of a general change. And another one could be that kind of non-functional work item for the test automation. Yeah, so if this is created, you're going to your process management and create or assign your automatic test case there. And then you could assign this test configuration to your work item. And in best case, you will have then here the screen icon available for the documentation of this work item. And it shows you that the test configuration is available in the right state. The second option is also a quite good functionality. It makes use of the checklist inside of work packages or work items. So this is something that you can decide by your own, where you want to have this check step, more or less. What you need to do is going again to the S-Pro transaction inside of the customizing, and define there a new step for the checklists for automatic testing. And after you have done that, you are creating or enhancing a checklist profile for work item or work package with this new step. You can see this here inside of the screenshot. Yeah, so there's a new checklist available for work package checklist with automation. And I added here the 5th step for automatic test cases, which is then mandatory. What you have to do then, if this is already defined, you have your work package available, and here inside of this checklist selection, you are selecting the work package checklist that you have created. And within that, you will find then the new step, and you can decide which person is responsible for, or which team is responsible for, when it needs to be provided, this kind of document or modification or whatever. And there's also a status available for each of these kind of tasks. So maybe you're asking yourself right now how I could handle this if I'm responsible for one of these tasks. Since SP8, we have a new application for that, which is called My Checklist Steps. And this application, which you can see here on the left-hand side for that screenshot, is an entry point to access all checklist steps to a user which is assigned to one of these checklist steps. Yeah, as mentioned, this is new with SP8, and it provides also some more information than just a list of things that you have to do. Yeah, so for example, you can switch between your own steps where you are assigned to, or where your team is assigned to. As mentioned before, you can decide here which role is responsible for. Is it a single person or is it a team? You can, of course, filter for checklist steps. You can process them within a so-called detailed view, where you also have some more information like what is the history behind these checklist steps, some additional texts, if this is necessary, and so on and so forth. So it's really easy to work on that checklist steps. By having said that, my time is over, and also my part of the presentation is over, and I would like to hand over to Xavier.
Thank you very much, Christina. So a very warm welcome from my side. I'm Xavier Picard. I'm product manager of testing in SAP Solution Manager. After this great introduction from Christina, I will cover the usage part of the test automation within SAP Solution Manager and Focused Build. So first, I will introduce you how the test automation tools are integrated today with SAP Solution Manager, and then later I will introduce a new integration approach. So today we have two different ways or two approaches of the integration with external test tool. So the first one is the direct execution from Solution Manager. So that means that the tester, after creating the test configuration within SAP Solution Manager, with an external tool, like in this example, SAP ECT or SAP TTA, from Solution Manager, so from the My Test execution application or the tester worklist application, if you are not using Focused Build, the tester will be able to directly trigger the execution of the test configuration. So we can say this direct execution is clearly not scalable if you would like to run dozens of automated test cases. The second way we offer with SAP Solution Manager is the execution of test packages which can be scheduled. So to do that, we offer the capability to leverage the SAP front-end scheduler from SAP Solution Manager and the usage of the external test tool like SAP ECT or SAP TTA. So that means you have to do some housekeeping or maintenance activities on the virtual machine to enable the SAP front-end scheduler, which will wait for the job's execution of the test package, and it will trigger the execution of all the test cases on the dedicated virtual machines. So this small housekeeping or maintenance on the virtual machines is does not help in an very high scalable world. So that's why we decided to improve this integration with a new approach. And here the idea is to leverage the distributed execution engine from SAP ECT. So we'll see later how technically it works, but the distributed execution engine allows to distribute the automated test cases on several agents which are running on several virtual machines. And there is no housekeeping to be done on these virtual machines. So that's why this new approach is really highly scalable. So let's see the details of this new integration. Sorry, just before that, I would like to give you more details on what we have today. So we have the direct execution, as I said. So here you see a screenshot of the My Test executions. So that means the tester, when he is in the My Test execution, he sees different test cases he has to run, either manual or automated test cases. And here it's an automated one. And for the automated test cases, he just has to click on the execute button and it will trigger the execution of the automated test cases. And the second one is a scheduled execution. So from the tester worklist, the tester will be able to select the test package containing automated test cases, and it will be able to schedule the execution of this test package by selecting the date and time of the execution of the test cases. And then the job will be scheduled, and when it will be executed, the front-end scheduler on the virtual machines will catch this job and trigger the execution with external test tool like SAP ECT. Now let's see the details of the new integration. So this new integration, we divided it in two phases, and the first one, now I will show you the first one, and the first one will be available at the beginning of next year. So first of all, everything starts with Solution Manager. So as you may know, we need a test plan and test package. And in the test package, the test engineer will create test configurations. So he will create test configurations based on SAP ECT. And later on, when the test configurations are all recorded with the SAP ECT, The test coordinator will have the new capability of synchronize the test package with SAP ECT. So this is the first step. So the synchronization will create in SAP ECT an execution list containing all the test configurations from the test package. So that means there will be a one-to-one relationship between test configuration included in the test package and the execution and the test cases in the execution list. So this is the first step of this new integration. Then the execution will be triggered on the SAP ECT side, so either manually or via an event. And the execution will be done through the distributed execution engine. So all the test cases will be distributed to the distributed execution agents. So the agent will run the test cases and then send back the results to SAP ECT. And finally, the results are sent back or synchronized with test suite. So that means we know we'll have the status of all test cases in the test suite. So that means we have the capability to see the results and use all the dashboards we have in SAP Solution Manager to see the test results. So let's see how it works. So first, you have to create a test plan and a test package like today. But as you can see here, there is a new tab in the test package application. So you see it's an external test tool. So let's see what we have inside this new tab. So here we'll get all the details about the external tools and the integration status. So here we can see the integration is active, there is a green status, and we can see the external entity ID. So the external entity ID is an ID which is the ID between SAP Solution Manager and SAP ECT to represent this test package. So now if we go to the SAP ECT, we'll see the same ID as the execution list name. So if you remember, it's exactly the same ID we saw just previously. And if we go to the details of this execution list, in the properties, we can find the test plan and the test package ID coming from SAP Solution Manager. Then later, when the tests are executed from Tosca or triggered by Jenkins to be executed in Tosca, we can see the results of these test cases directly in Tosca. But the goal of the integration is really to see the results in SAP Solution Manager. So as soon as Tosca or SAP ECT receives, executes the test cases, it will send back the results to SAP Solution Manager. So here you see the result in the tester work list. And as you may have seen in the previous slide, there is one test case which is okay and the second failed. And here you can see the same results in the tester work list. And there is a capability to jump from Solution Manager directly to SAP ECT to check the details of the log in the automated test result application. So just to zoom out and to see what is a big value of this new integration is that it allows to leverage the integration between SAP ECT and Jenkins or CI/CD approach. So thanks to SAP ECT, which integrates with Jenkins, for instance, let's take an example. So with Jenkins, we can schedule a regression test or a change is submitted in Jenkins. So if it's integrated with SAP ECT, it will send an event to SAP ECT, and this event will trigger the execution of the execution list. And if previously the execution list was synchronized with SAP Solution Manager, the execution which will be done in the distributed execution engine will be sent back to SAP Solution Manager. So that means we'll get all the results of the test cases which are triggered by Jenkins or a CI/CD tool, and we'll see the result directly in SAP Solution Manager. And that means we'll be able to do analytics and reportings in SAP Solution Manager, and SAP Solution Manager is really the single source of truth of your IT. So I just show you the first phase of the integration, and we have a second phase. So the second phase, as you can see in this slide, is pretty much the same, but we just moved from SAP ECT, the triggering of the execution, to SAP Solution Manager. So that means everything is the same. So we create the test plan, create the test configuration and we do the synchronization. But the execution, the execution will not be triggered by SAP ECT or Jenkins, for instance, but by SAP Solution Manager itself. That's the main difference. So what is the benefits of this new second phase of the integration? Let's see, is that any triggering event from SAP Solution Manager will be able to execute the tests. So we can think about a change in the status of a change document in Charm, transport which is released, an execution of a test package, or if we come back to Focused Build, the work package status which is changed to be tested, for instance. So one of these triggering events will appear, and then it will trigger the execution of a test package from a test plan. Then from test suite, the test suite will ask SAP ECT to execute the execution list in the execution agents. The results are sent back to SAP ECT and back again to Solution Manager. And finally, the status is updated in the document change or in the work package. And again, we still have the full end-to-end views in SAP Solution Manager with all the analytics and reporting capabilities, like the test suite dashboard or the solution readiness dashboard. And that's all for these presentations. So I hope you enjoy this journey with Tricentis and SAP Solution Manager and all the test automation world. Now it's time for question and answer. So let's start.
Thank you, Xavier. Thank you, Christina. We have some questions in the Q&A pod. For example, Mark would like to know, can you elaborate a bit on business process mapping to software solution?
Yes, this is what I have tried to answer via text. This is most likely related to what have been designed in the design phase. So during the design phase, you have find out what will be your to-be business processes. And on that basis, you are starting with the modification of the software, which means you are doing configuration, you are doing development and all of this stuff. And this will be bundled together inside of the work item, inside of the work package, excuse me. And this means we are mapping the physical software changes from our work items together with the business processes inside of the work package.
Okay, so I will answer live some questions. Is the usage of the distributed execution agents also possible if you only have TTA, or do you need ECT for that? So the distributed execution agents are only part of SAP ECT. So if you only use TTA, this new capability or new integration, you cannot use it. Let's see further question. If my end-to-end process consists of steps in SAP and non-SAP, does the standard SAP TTA license cover this? So, two answers. So if you would like to do test automation with SAP TTA on non-SAP, you cannot. But within Solution Manager, we have the capability to combine several test tools. So if you have another test tools, you will be able to use the other test tool to do the test automation for non-SAP, and you can combine them with SAP TTA test automation to be able to do a full end-to-end test automation. So another question is, will it be able to automate non-SAP executables? So yes, with SAP ECT or another partner tool which is certified with SAP Solution Manager, but not with only TTA. TTA is really focused on SAP products, cloud or on-premise, doesn't matter. Any plans on extended this integration to other test automation tools integrated into Solman, Worksoft, and Certified? So as soon as this new integration is released, we'll open it to other certified tools. So if they would like to use this new API, they will be able to do it and import it in their tools. How do you handle a mix of manual and automated tests with the synchronization with Tricentis? So for the synchronization, so it's quite simple, because to be authorized to do the synchronization, only automated test has to be in the test package. You cannot mix manual and automated test cases in the test package if you would like to do use the synchronization. That's a limit. Yeah, why we decided to do that? It's really to keep it simple. So if you would like to have manual test cases, you have to create a second test package, but both test packages can be executed in parallel, I would say. Will it become possible to trigger all test packages in a bulk to be executed sequentially simultaneously by Tosca? So that's a good question, I would say. And so we have to evaluate the execution, or let's say the synchronization of test package created based on test sequence. So we'll do that in a next step, I would say, in a second or third step.
Would you make a short break? Then I can take over the next question.
Yes.
Because a lot of questions are related to your topic. So I was quite happy that there is at least one question inside of the Q&A that is related to that what I have presented. In it's about the checklist tasks. So I mentioned for the checklist steps, you could assign a team or a single person. This is still true, but you at the end have to decide if you want to do this for work items or for work packages. So if you have the smaller pieces, you can also assign like a team to your work item and then distinguish between the different tasks within the checklist. This is also possible.
Another one
Any
for
other
you,
questions are
Christina?
related for you? No, I cannot see anything. It's just for you.
Okay, so what are differences between using Tosca and TTA? So TTA is let's say a subset of Tosca or SAP CT. So TTA, the scope is really limited to SAP products. So you cannot use it for any other tools. But if you that's the main difference, let's say. And in TTA, you do not have all the distributed execution engine, for example, and many other things. But from a support, for a product support point of view, TTA is limited to SAP, and Tosca or SAP CT, you can use it for all products, SAP or non-SAP.
As we are running out of time, I would suggest we answer one more questions, and the other questions we take with us in the Meet the Expert session.
Okay, so I will just take the latest one. Can the TTA execution record the T-bomb like CBTA? Of course. All tools which are certified can record the T-bomb. Okay, so and thanks for all these questions. And as Meredith said, we'll answer them in the Meet the Expert session, which is at 3 p.m. CST time.
Thanks you all for your attention and for joining this session, and see you later in the Meet the Expert session.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good day.